Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Today it's finally time to give the hot rod a little bit of love. So last we left it, put some exhaust on it. I still need to paint that. But then I got a new project, being the MGB. So this guy is sat here. He's got a lot of stuff kind of piled on top of him. But there's still a few big things I need to do. One of those is going to be add the lights. So I need tail lights, I need headlights, and the other thing is a tailgate. Still have to build a tailgate. But the thing I think we're going to tackle today is do a custom wooden floor for the bed. Because I've been kind of piling some stuff in here. And it's nice to have a floor so we can organize stuff. That, and once I get a floor and a tailgate, I'll feel better if I have to park it outside. But to get things started, I did move it a little bit. I was tucked up against this wall, got on some dollies, and scooched it over. Got the trusty furniture dollies in the rear, but I did actually pick up some proper vehicle dollies from the Harbor Freight for the front because, well, it's heavier. But yeah, so time to do the bed and doing it a little bit different. But first thing I got to do is clean up all of that. So there we go, clean slate, ready for the floor. So basically I am going to do something a little bit different, a little bit more in keeping with the theme of the patina. So here's what we're doing. These are 5.5-inch wide fence pickets. I elected to get the non-dog-eared versions because they were cheaper. I don't need the dog ear, and I'm going to cut them anyway. So these are the cheap ones. These are basically stained pine. They run something like $2 and change. I think they were like $2.39. As of right now, these prices are very volatile. I could have gotten cedar, but I really didn't want cedar. It's not nice. It's not as. It's more rot resistant and it's better for some reasons, but I don't know if it's necessarily stronger. And it was like twice as much. The other thing is I was wanting to go the used route, get some old fence that was a little bit grayed out, kind of old, and already aged. But out of the 5 people I contacted on Marketplace, no one responded, so I just went new. Back there, I've also got a couple 2x4s. Those I'm going to use to spread the gap between both sides, just to add more rigidity to the boards, but more importantly, I needed to raise up the boards a little bit to clear the gas tank and the shocks and all that. But yeah, so basically, first thing I'm going to do is cut those 2x4s so I have, cut them to length to fit between the bed. I bought 3, but I planned on only using 2. And then I bought 9 pickets. Maybe should have bought 10, but I'm pretty sure the math works out to where 9 works perfect. Yeah, let's get started. And as a bit of a sneak peek, I figure I'd show you. That's kind of what we're going to end up looking like. So the bed measures at just a little bit wider than 45.5. It might be like 45 and 5/8. So we're going to cut it to 45.5. That way we've got a little bit of extra wiggle room on the sides. And yeah, so I'm going to get cutting. So there we go. Got 4 of them cut and installed. And by installed, I mean sitting there. And that'll give me plenty of support. So the more I look at it, I definitely don't need the extra 2x4 back there. Just 4 sections should do a good job. The only big issue is it's currently sitting on top of this right here. And now normally, if this was a proper bed, the floor would actually slip underneath it. But because of what I'm doing and because of the frame, I couldn't do that right. I couldn't do that the right way. So basically we're going to ignore this and have the bed just kind of butt up against there. And if I really want to, I might weld some angle iron onto the bed rail and then bolt that to the floor. But the issue is that we're sitting on top of that, and while that's kind of okay, it's not the most secure. I'd much rather have it sit on top of the frame that I built right there. So what we're going to need to do is basically cut a notch out of each of these like so. And to do that, we're going to take them over to the table saw and use my dado stack. You don't necessarily have to use a dado stack. You can do it with a single blade and just take multiple passes. But when you got a dado stack, you might as well use a dado stack. So before we make the notch, we need to measure for it. So I'm going to basically mark right there. That's the top of that. And then I can just measure that. So we are looking for our slot to be about 3/4. Yeah, about 3/4 deep. So 3/4 deep that way. Maybe a skosh longer. And 1.5 inches in. So 3/4 and 1.5 inches. So let's take these guys, bring them into the wood shop, and set up our dado. So got my dado stack set up. Dado stack is basically just a bunch of saw blades designed to nest together to make a nice wide slot. So I've got my fence set up with a block. That way I'm not necessarily in kind of pinching anything. It's not actually a problem, but I don't want to worry about it. But basically from this face to this face, I've got 1.5 inches. And on the height, I've got it set to 3/4 inch, or just a little bit more. So basically, gonna cut the slot. And obviously rules apply. Keep your hands away from the spinny thing of death. Goes without saying. We're gonna basically use the miter gauge. So I'm gonna lock this up, butt it against that, and then I can move across. Then I'm going to scooch it out and get the last little bit, because that's not wide enough to do the whole thing in one pass. So yeah, I'm going to get started. It also bears in mind you can do this with a router or a router table if you don't have a dado stack. I know they're not actually legal in some countries because if improperly used, they can hurt you. But, you know, so can every other tool. Alrighty then, back into the garage. Alright, there we go. Got them all notched out and they are looking good. If you notice, I'm not actually touching the bedside, and that's completely fine because I just wanted to avoid this whole step section. We are mounting directly to that frame we built before. So next step up is I'm going to lay those boards out and we'll see what we're going to do, because we've got to tackle this. We've got to make a little box around it and support that. And then B, I know that the width of those isn't going to match the width of this. So I'm going to either trim the middle one or I'm going to trim both edges. Probably going to trim the edges because I think that'll look the best. But if we're within like a 1/4 inch, I'll probably just take it out of the middle one rather than 1/8 out of the sides. But yeah, so let's get them laid out and see what she looks like. Well, that is a happy accident. So, according to my math, being fairly conservative, I thought I was going to need 9 boards, kind of overestimating, but 8 boards, and I've got just a little bit of a gap right there. So, okay, so I found a good solution. Got a little piece of paper, made a little template. So that's going to go like so and curve over. This is going to be half of it, so the other half will be there. So basically, I'm going to put that down on the sheet metal. We're going to trace it, then we're going to flip it, and then trace it, then cut it out, and then just bend it like so. I might use either a paint can or maybe even my knee. I need about a 6-inch diameter, so a 3-inch radius. And then that'll be my cover. So yeah, let's trace this guy out. Got my trusty Milwaukee marker. Mostly I'm a DeWalt man, but Milwaukee make a good marker. I'm also leaving a little edge here because I want the ability to make a flange if I need to. I'm just kind of going to approximate a little bigger curve there. And right there, because this wasn't exactly perfect. Anywho, this is the top. And yeah, I'm going to just basically cut that out on the shear, and, fold it up and see where we're at. Alright, that's pretty much it. So now, we bend. Alright, so it's not fully bent over, but I'll get an idea. It's not terrible. Basically, I think I'll pretty much mess with this with some tin snips. Gonna probably just keep that good, fold that edge up, let this just kind of sit, and then sort of same over here, tip an edge out, and just let that do its thing. But I'm just going to basically trim this with a grinder, some tin snips, what have you, to get it mostly square. And if I absolutely have to, I might weld, well, yeah, for that side I might actually weld a piece onto the front of this, but we'll see. Okay, so this is what we're working with. I've got most of the shape together. Basically, I just took some tin snips, snipped it right there, folded that in the vise. For the other side, it was getting in the way, so I used these little clampy guys. So, don't own a sheet metal brake. I'll get one eventually, but they take up a lot of room. So anyway, did that. Then, if you can see it, yeah. Basically, I laid it on the edge with those nice and square. Took something as a straight edge, in this case, this piece of aluminum extrusion, and then just traced along the bottom of that to give me a line that would be in plane with these guys. Then trimmed that with some tin snips as best I could. Couldn't really get into it right there. So my final thing, I'm going to take this, take a flap disc to this and just try to smooth that out, try to get closer to that line, and then it should fit up reasonably well. Once I do that, then we can continue with the rest of the woodwork. All right, there we go. Now, yep. So there we go. That'll be my cover. I still need to fiddle with up there, but it'll be fine. So yeah, now all I gotta do is pull that guy out. It's going to end up anchoring to those blocks and then to the wall, like so. And then we will basically just probably use a profile gauge to cut the board to fit. All right, so got that little fuel filler cover in place, but now it's time to turn my attention over to the actual planks. So I am going to I still need to make the tailgate, and I'm using some 3/4 square tubing for that. I was initially thinking I was going to just take 3/4 off the end, but I'm going to go an inch shy. That way I've got a little bit of wiggle room, because it doesn't have to fit up super tight. It's not like it's holding water or anything. So yeah, the bed itself, I believe was 67.5. Yeah, about 67.5 inches. So I'm basically cutting all of these boards to 66.5. Still, I'm going to just cut 6 of them for now. That'll do everything from here up to that filler, and then we're going to deal with that filler. Okay, so I got the boards all cut down. I also made a center line mark on the rear cross brace 2x4 and the front one as well. What that'll do is let me basically line up the middle of the bed. So these guys, since I've got the availability, these are going to be, whatchamacallit, there's going to be 8 of these. So 4 on each side. So middle line in the middle, and I can butt that up against there. And now all I have to do is just use this as a template. So I'm going to put 2 screws here, 2 there, 2 there, and 2 there. Then we can just start stacking all of the others in. And before I actually put a screw in, I am going to just pre-drill these, because I don't want any chance for this to crack. And actually, I'm going to actually have to lay this out, because I could freehand drill these, but then it's going to look kind of terrible, and it'd be nice to have them all in the same line. So we'll just ignore that. And I'm going to get a square. All right. Now a couple of screws and an impact. All right. So that's first set down. Let me basically just finish the rest of these. All right, guys, we are back. Got 6 of those boards put in, at least on the ends. I still haven't really secured them on the middle, but I'm going to do that in one shot once everything's laid in. So I've got my other board, and I traced this guy, because I suppose I probably should have cut this one to the same length as the rest of them. But now comes the time where we have to get around this. The first board, this is the first board to do that, and it just barely doesn't fit. So what we're going to do is, I've got this piece of paper, and I folded it so it's exactly the same width as one of these boards. So now I'm going to take it, I'm going to slot it underneath, and then we're going to just trace that piece. All right. So now cut that out with some scissors. I'm going to go a little on the big side. All right. Now we'll line the board up to that. I'm just going to kind of eyeball this as far as where we're going to sit. Looks about right. Now we'll trace that. Now I'm going to lop this end off and cut that out in the jigsaw. All right, there we go. Let's see. Perfect. Now I just need to do the same thing with the other 2 boards there and there. All right, so there we go. Boards are bolted down. Obviously, this is still all kind of held in mostly by gravity. It's kind of wedged in there, and it's not actually going anywhere. But I am going to drill some bigger holes and put some lag bolts down to on each corner to anchor the cross pieces to the actual frame. But yeah, overall, I'm liking the look. It's got the good kind of rustic vibe that I was hoping for. And I do need to deal with the rails on the side, but I think I'm going to do all of that once I have a tailgate in place. So I think I'm going to call the video for today, and we'll pick up next time with the tailgate. Alright guys, that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. So here's what we're doing.